What's up, guys? Figured I'd do my first episode of Fox Body Finance that nobody cares about. But let me get the ball rolling on that. So, I was on YouTube this morning and I was watching a video about Ford bringing back 427, and there was this guy who left a comment about, oh man, that'd be awesome, but I will never be able to afford a Mustang. Like, this is the comment he left. So, I don't know, anytime I see a comment like that, it really irritates me. So, this kind of segues into my first point. It's the first thing I really want to talk about with this whole money thing. Is that, your thought process and, like, the way you view things, it has a pretty big effect on, what happens in your life. And, for me personally, I just got done doing 4 laps around this park. And I've been waiting for this. Like, this is the first nice day here in Illinois. And, it's like over 70 degrees. It's beautiful out. And I was here a couple days ago, and it was literally, I think 2 or 3 days ago, it literally snowed. This is pretty ridiculous, but, it's beautiful outside. And, I've been waiting for this day. I've been just, the first nice day I'm coming out here. So, going back to, being out here when it was cold out, when I first came out here and did a lap, I was like, man, I used to do, 4 laps around this place. And, years ago, I used to come out here and walk 6 laps, and it was, nothing to me. It's man, I'm really out of shape, So, my brain is sitting there thinking, I know I can do this, but, it's just really hard. I got to get back to taking the 6 laps. So, today I came out here with the weight vest. I did 2 laps with the weight vest. I took the weight vest off, and I did 2 more laps, so I did 4. So, that's pretty awesome. But, going back to this guy talking about, saying that he's never going to own a Mustang. I cannot stress how important it is to change your mind. A lot of these self-help gurus or whoever, these money guys, they'll make that point that, you have to choose to be rich. And, it's going to be hard to make these videos because I don't want to sound like I'm bragging. I'm not the richest guy in the world. I don't know everything about money. I'm not a money expert. There's some people I know who, if they knew what I have going on, they would probably call me rich. But my definition of rich, I'm not rich. I feel like I'm comfortable. Let's put it that way. And this is why I want to make these videos. Because you see a lot of guys leaving comments and you can tell, I don't know, I feel like they watch a lot of these big time YouTubers and they get, they just get crushed by it. Oh, this dude's got a brand new Z06. I could never have that, and it just gets depressing for them. And I just want to make some videos about, how to take those first few steps. Up until probably August of 2007, I didn't even, look at this kid pointing out my car. Look at this. Oh, look at it. I'm 3 years old, 2 years old, and Mustangs are awesome. Anyways, so, getting sidetracked here. So anyways, going back to 2007, is really probably August was when I really started kind of considering what I was doing with money. And I'll admit, I would say I always handled money fairly well, just on accident or something like that. My parents gave me a few good tips, but I feel like I just somehow, through probably just luck, made some really good choices, and I feel like they've really benefited me in the long run. So, here I am in the year 2018, and things are good. They're real good. And, I'm just kind of looking back on the past, 10 or 11 years, and it's man, it was a long time to get here. And a lot of it's mental. I can't stress that point enough. You have to put a lot of thought into where you're at and where you want to go. Tomorrow's April 13th, it's my brother's birthday. So I'm actually going to roll out and probably going to stop by Target. Probably going to get him, I don't know, Far Cry 5. It's hard to shop for my brother because My brother's kind of like me. He's kind of gotten to this point where he's just, it's like you can't really buy him anything. He pretty much has what he wants for the most part, to a certain degree. So it's like, I can't even, it's not like I'm going to buy him a video game and he's going to be like, oh yes, I've wanted that. You know what I mean? Like, he can go buy whatever he wants for the most part. You know? So, but I mean, to make this trip to Target, you know, I'm not going to get there without, you know, pushing the clutch in and turning the key on this car. Like, I have to choose a destination, and then I have to engage in the process of getting the car there. I have to start the car. I have to get out of the park. I have to, you know, navigate my way to Target. So, you know, this probably sounds like a lot of fluff, but, you know, think about it. Give it some thought. Like, what are you working towards? Think about that. Okay? And that's probably, like, the biggest question I could ask anybody. Because I feel like most people wake up every day and they're just going through the motions, man. They're just going through the motions, like, and you don't even realize it. I mean, I was like that. Trust me, I wasn't thinking any farther ahead than what I was gonna do that night. You know, I'd wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, do whatever tonight, and that was it. Like, I wasn't thinking about, you know, where am I gonna be 6 months from now? Where am I gonna be a year from now? Where am I gonna be for 10 years from now? Like, these are not things that really cross my mind. And I mean, when you're younger, you know, back when I was in my, you know, I was like 28 back then. I mean, back in 07, it's like I didn't really, I don't know, I wasn't even 30 years old yet. So, I mean, I wasn't really focusing on retirement or any of that stuff. I mean, I was just kind of caught up in, like, hanging out with my friends. And, you know, I had this car. I had the R6. I mean, I just, you know, whatever. Chilling and messing around with cars and bikes and all that, just having a good time. I mean, that's fine, but, like, as I started, you know, moving into 08 and I started, you know, trying to educate myself about money, and this is kind of the other point I want to make, like, back then, back in 07 when I sat down and told myself, like, this is something I want to pursue, I had this attitude from the get-go, like, it was like, yeah, I want to get rich, but I also feel like even if I fall short of that goal, like, even if I don't get rich, I was really confident that I was going to at least end up in a better place than I was at that point in time. And that could not be any more true than it is right now. As I'm sitting here on a Thursday, it's probably like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the rest of the world's at work, and I'm sitting here talking to you on YouTube. And, you know, to me, like, that's amazing. And I feel real lucky and blessed to have all the things I have. You know, that's the other thing, guys. Like, don't get caught up in the ego of YouTube. And I find it funny because there's a lot of people that like to throw those accusations around. People like to throw ego accusations at me too, and they do it to me in my personal life. And the only thing I can say to some of those people is, don't mistake my confidence for ego. And I also find it funny because, like, as I was coming up, everyone would tell me, like, you gotta be confident, you gotta be confident. You know, I used to do, like, drum competitions or whatever when I was younger, and I'd play the snare drum or whatever. They'd be like, you know, you gotta be confident. And I mean, that stuff, it did build my confidence. I'm sure it's just like, you know, if you're younger and you played a sport and, you know, and you're performing in front of people, you're performing for an audience. You know, if you're in basketball and you're at a basketball game, you're performing for an audience. And it teaches you self-confidence. I mean, it's a great, you know, it's a great skill to acquire. Confidence is important. But I feel like I'm at that level where, with confidence, where it puts people off. And then they like to throw words like arrogant in my direction. So, I mean, that's fine, whatever. You know, people can think of me whatever they want to think. That's fine. You know, at the end of the day, I'm doing what I'm doing. And, you know, as for all you guys, you only have to wake up and be happy with you. You know what I'm saying? So, like, maybe that's owning a Fox Body Mustang. Maybe that's going out and buying a brand new Z06 Vet. Maybe you want a Bugatti. I don't know. Or you're a GTR guy. And, I mean, the other thing I find funny is I've worked with a lot of younger guys now, and I always try to talk to them about money, mainly because, you know, I feel like I found out about it kind of later on in life, and I often think to myself, like, man, if I had known this when I was like 19, 20, 21, 22, around that age range, it's like, man, I'd be doing even better than I am now. And like I said, I mean, I'm pretty content with what's going on now. So all I can say is, like, I'd be doing even better. You know, time is an important factor with this stuff. But without sidelining off from my point too much, like, I want you guys to consider that. Think about what you say every day. Think about what you're doing. Are you going through the motions, or are you working towards a goal? Like, if I work for an entire month and I get done working for that month, I better be able to sit down and say, okay, I've moved this much closer to a certain goal. Okay, like, let's say you set a goal and said, I want to save $100. Well, at the end of that month, I better be like, man, I put, $25 in my savings account this month. Now, for some people, they'll laugh. They'll be like, that's not much money. It's like, well, you can laugh all you want, but that's still working towards a goal. You put $25 in there, you only have $75 left to go to reach your $100 goal. So, I mean, setting goals and working towards them, it's important. And if you can't set small goals and achieve them, how can you set big goals and achieve them? And if you're not working towards a goal, what are you working for? What are you working for? And are you at work right now watching this on a cell phone? Think about that. You're on your cell phone because you can't stand your job. You're watching me because you're bored. And you probably have something you be doing right now. You're probably like, I don't want to go back and do this or that. You're probably hiding in the bathroom watching this on your phone. You guys know who you are. I mean, we're all guilty of it, right? So, like, think about that. Think about everything you put yourself through every day. And then think about, are you doing things for you, or are you doing things to impress some other guy? Are you trying to impress some girl? Do you think that if you get a certain kind of car, you're gonna get the girl? And then what's the end game there? Like, did you ever consider just trying to talk to her? I mean, there's plenty of guys that don't have cars that end up dating the girl they want to date, or, don't create some scenario that's unnecessary to achieve what you're going for. And, like, you really have to sit down and figure out what you want and how you're going to go about achieving it. So like I said, I hope you watch this whole video. I know a lot of these younger millennial guys, it's really hard to keep their attention. It's just the way they are. At least when I talk to them in person, I can grab them by the collar and get their attention. So, hopefully I kept your attention without grabbing your collar through YouTube. But regardless, I want you guys to think about that. I want you to leave comments. Give me your feedback. What do you think? What are your goals? And just tell me, have you been working towards something or nothing? Because just reaching that epiphany of, like, man, if I think back over the past 3 months, 6 months, the past year, I haven't really made any forward progress. And put it down in the comments, man. Let's, we'll figure it out. That's the other thing, too. Like, I think that's the best thing about YouTube is, like, we can all learn from each other, and it's like people need to put their egos aside and help each other out. I'm not the best. I'm not the best drummer. I'm not the best guy painting cars. I'm not the best Fox body builder, tuner. I'm not the best buffer. I don't know everything. I'm not the electronics expert. It's like, I know what I know, and what I like about YouTube is I can share that. Great example, if you go on, I did a video about changing the battery in my Lincoln. Some woman left a pretty rude comment telling me, like, oh, you didn't even show how to change the battery. And quite honestly, guys, no joke, when I made that video, number one, it wasn't really about how to change the battery. Because to me, in my mind's eye, and this is just my point of view, getting back to point of view, it's like you can take that battery out of the car with an 8mm socket. Like, that's all you need. It's like an 8mm to get the positive off, an 8mm to get the negative terminal off, and then the battery hold down's an 8mm. It's all 8mm, and it's like, if you can't do that, quite honestly, you probably shouldn't even be touching the car. Like, that's just my honest, like, no BS assessment of that. So, she left me this rude comment, and I told her, I was like, you can go read the comment, but I basically said something like, if you stop being rude and ask me like a normal human being, I could go out to my car and take a look at it for you. And she finally calmed down and was, like, cool about it, so I helped her out. And it's like, look, I don't understand why people, like, they immediately go towards, like, It's like, look, if you need help, if I didn't cover something in a video, then leave a comment and ask about it. You know what I mean? I mean, there's my point of view is like, if you can't get the battery out of your Lincoln, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's pretty basic. But at the same time, that's bad on me because there are people like that. They don't understand it. So I mean, that's a great idea or a great example of like your point of view and compared to other people's point of view. You know, it's the same thing with money. It's like some people think that $100 is a lot of money. Some people think that $10 is a lot of money. Some people think that $1,000 is a lot of money. Some people think that $100,000 is a lot of money. And there's people that like laugh about $1 million. I mean, it's a joke to them. That's the level they're on. And that's kind of the thing with cars too. Like a lot of people, when the ZR1 came out, what was that, '09, when it came back, you know, that car was over $100,000. And I mean, quite honestly, and this is coming from a Ford guy, to me that car was worth every penny. I mean, what an amazing machine. And I don't know, maybe my opinion's biased because I had the X-Pipe, so that was probably like 80% of my... I was like, oh my god, factory X-Pipe. But, no, just an amazing car for a little over $100,000. I mean, this thing's going toe-to-toe with cars that are $250 plus, if not beating them. But I mean, for someone who is not of that level, I mean, if you're a millionaire, what's $110,000 to you? It's nothing, you know. But yeah, if you're making $20,000 a year, then obviously that's a tremendous amount of money. So it's like you have to be able to put these things in a perspective, and that's another thing to consider when you're buying a car too, which I want to get into that. Talk about, you know, it's just funny you see these videos like, oh, should I buy a Fox body? Should I buy this? Should I buy that? Or like the buyer's guide or things you need to know to buy a car. I mean, I want to cover the other stuff, like, should you even buy this car? You know, it's like, oh, can you daily drive a Fox body? It's like, well, you can daily drive a go-kart. Are you going to, you going to be happy with that? Because, I mean, I couldn't daily drive a go-kart. It'd start snowing, and I don't think I'd be too happy with that. So, I don't know. I want to cover these topics. I want to talk about money. I know that it's a difficult topic. People get upset. They shy away from it. People are more willing to talk about their sex life than they are to talk about money. And so, like, the lesson we learned for today, the first lesson is there's actually two things. I want you to change your mind, okay? I want you to focus on money instead of shying away from it. And the other thing is to don't hate people that are rich or doing better than you or whatever it is. Like, try to take the ego out of the equation, okay? And I know it's difficult. And we're all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it to a certain degree. Like, try to take the ego out of it. You know, when I was younger, I was the same way. I'd be like, oh, rich people, I hate them. And now that I'm older, or like, once I started reading about books, you know, I mean, this was probably '08 when I figured that out. Maybe even late '07. It was like, why do I hate rich people? Like, they never did anything to me. It's like I was just raised listening to people be like, oh, these damn rich people, blah, blah, blah. You know, and it's like, the other dangerous part of that is, like, you're not even formulating your own opinion. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to hate rich people, you better have a really legitimate reason to hate them. If you just grew up listening to people talking about how rich people are bad, then you haven't formulated your own opinion. So, I basically got to that point where I went from hating rich people to asking myself, how do they do it? Like, what can I learn from them? And this is kind of how I feel about YouTube. It's like, I think that's what's so amazing about YouTube, too. It's like, there's so much that could be learned on YouTube that it's almost mind-boggling. And, like, to have access to all that knowledge is just, I mean, for me, I grew up pretty much without the internet. I mean, I graduated high school in '97, so it was, like, just kind of like this brand new thing. And I mean, but now, like, these younger guys that are in their early 20s, like, you have such a tremendous advantage, man. I mean, I've got stacks and stacks of books that I've read because there's no other way to get that knowledge. You know, and that's the thing. You have to be thirsty for knowledge. Your brain has to be like this sponge that just wants to absorb as much knowledge as it can. So, change your mind. Change your reality. And stop hating people. Try to learn from them. Okay? Stop hating. Start learning. Take the ego out if you can. I know that's, for some of us, that's a pretty tall, it's a pretty tall requirement to overcome. But, think about it. Be more cognizant of it You know, do more self-analysis of like what's really going through your brain. I don't want to see these messages on YouTube, these comments where people say, "Oh, I'd love to have this, but I can't. I'd love to do this or that, but I can't." It's like, well, guess what, dude? You can't. Then you can't. You've already decided that you can't. You understand that? You have to wake up and say, how can I? How can I get a Mustang? How can I do that? You know, I'm going to throw this story in there, which was actually going to be a separate video. Now, I don't know, maybe I'll just edit this out and make it my second video, but, you know, kind of going back to when I was younger, like, I remember when the C6 Vets came out, and I mean, the C5s are pretty cool. Like, I mean, Corvette came a long way. When the C5 came out, that was a big deal. Like, a lot of these younger guys, they don't know. But the C5 was literally, like, Chevrolet going to, like, world class. Or the C5 was, like, almost there, and then the C6 was, like, you know, they arrived. I mean, it's just incredible what that company did with the Corvette. And, I mean, like I said, I'm not really a Chevy guy, but I don't know, I guess maybe I am. I think at the end of the day, I'm pretty much, I mean, I just like cars. So, I mean, I can appreciate a Supra. I love Evos, Evo 8, Evo 9. I can't stand the 10. That's right, Danny. Can't stand Evo 10s. He knows what I'm talking about. He loved Evo 10s. So anyways, but, you know, that Corvette, it was like, I got to the point where I was like, man, it was the same thing. It was the exact same thing. I started seeing these C6s, and it was like, man, that Corvette's nice, but I could never own one. And you know what's funny? Like, there was honestly no reason for me to even make that comment. Like, I never sat down and, like, went through my finances to be like, well, I can't do this. You know what I mean? It's like, I didn't even crunch the numbers before stopping myself. So, maybe at that point in time, it was a true statement financially, but I didn't even verify that. Okay? That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Don't tell yourself you can't do something without even doing the background work to figure out whether you actually can or cannot. And I mean, that was my mentality at that point in time. So, I hope that's a good example of, like, I used to think I couldn't get a Corvette. And quite honestly, right now, there are so many ways I could go get a brand new Vette, okay? I could go buy one right now and finance it through the dealership. I could go buy one and finance it through my bank. I could go buy one and finance it myself with some of the credit cards I have. I could pull money out that way. I could pull money out of the bank and pay cash for it. So I literally went from thinking that I can't buy a Corvette to literally having 4 different options and probably 1 or 2 more that I just didn't list. You know, that's not including, like, oh, I could have pulled a loan against my house. I could have got an equity loan. I could have sold my car. I could sell my 2 Mustangs and my motorcycle. I mean, there's so many. I have so many options. And, like, back then, yeah, maybe I didn't have those options at that point in time, but I never sat down and, like, really thought about what options I actually had. So, I think that's a great example. And once again, don't take that as bragging, and don't leave a comment like, then why don't you go buy one? It's like, let me tell you something else, dude. There's, like, a certain level of satisfaction in knowing that I can, and there is a tremendous level of intelligence of me understanding that even though I can, I shouldn't. Okay? I'm smart enough to know that I should not go buy a Corvette. And that's a fact. And if you think that's a cop-out, that's fine. I mean, you're entitled to believe whatever you want to believe. And actually, as a side note, it was kind of funny. Back in 2016, I came this close to buying a 04 Z06 Corvette. And then a few months later, that was like summer of 2016. And then October, I picked up that black car. And I paid cash for that car. Once again, not bragging. Don't take it as bragging. I'm just saying, you know, I saw that Vette. I decided not to go with it. And I bought the Mustang. It's kind of funny because after I bought the Mustang, my dad was like, you know, I really like this car, but it's had nothing but problems. He's like, maybe you should have bought that Vette. I was like, yeah, I don't know. I like the Vette, but I really want a C6. And that's something else. Like, you gotta get what you want, man. You really have to. I mean, I could have rolled that C5. And yeah, there's part of me that's like, yeah, maybe I should have got that, but, you know, it's all good. I got the black Mustang. I'm totally in love with that car. Got a lot of work to do to it. And, you know, it's a point of pride for me too. If you go back and watch those, you know, Asian Staying War Journal videos, I mean, that was me trying to get, when I bought that car, that dude started it up. I thought he was revving the throttle. That's not what was going on, man. That car would just jump up, want to die. Jump up, want to die. Jump up, want to die. I mean, that car barely ran when I bought it from the guy that sold it to me. And now, I go over to my dad's house right now. I guarantee I'll take it off that battery maintainer and it'll fire up and high idle, come down, and just idle. Yeah, granted, the bottom end still has issues, rod knocking and all that, but we're going to get into that. So, alright guys, this video has gotten pretty long, and I think I'm just going to keep the camera rolling and see what happens on my little trip to Target.